Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another neki broadcast. Again, we are a bit tired of single player campaign, realistically, and we are going to play a bit of ladder again versus Daniel BR, and again, a very aggressive game that I found particularly interesting. This time I'm player one on, I believe it's called, not really sure what the map is called, but it's very interesting map with 3 pathways to the enemy keep. I believe it's called Silverhead Crossing, if I remember correctly. I will double check, but I'm pretty sure it's Silverhead Crossing. Classic map, to be honest, but for those of you who are not familiar with it, you have 3 main keeps, 1, 2, and 3, and basically there are 3 corresponding avenues of attack: top, middle, and bottom. Really difficult to attack via the middle, but if you can do it, you can gain significant positional advantage. Usually it's a game where you try to balance the attacks on all these 3 sides, and you try to destabilize your opponent on one side where you make significant gains, and then that would contribute to you winning the game. However, you must be careful not to make significant not to sustain significant losses on another front, otherwise you will cave in and lose yourself. Anyway, so it is really interesting here to see how people recruit. I personally like to improvise each and every time. This time I wanted to have a glider, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to get this village. And I wanted to grab as many villages as possible from the beginning. So to this end, I recruited this clasher here. The reason I recruited a clasher is because it has 1 mountain penalty, and because I needed here to have a clasher instead of in case of an orc attack. So I did want a clasher. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because it's quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, absolutely fine. Clasher could also go here. Anyway, let's proceed to the next recruit, which is another glider, simply because I wanted to get this village. 1, 2. So if I do this, right, you see I can get this village. This one can, it needs a lot of turns to get this village, but it will eventually take it. So this village in the back, I said I don't want to be slowed down. I want to grab it with another glider, and there's a lot of water here. Gliders will be useful in terms of scouting. And also, I did not know what I'm going against, so I thought to myself, best way is to recruit the cheapest unit in the game, which will be useful on this map anyway, because skirmishers here are absolutely fantastic. Look, 1, 1, 1. So these mushrooms, these caves, they have great mobility, and they can threaten this village here, this village here. So one well-placed skirmisher here can absolutely rain havoc. Then another skirmisher on these caves and mushrooms again can rain havoc. It can stay here and then threaten this village here, or he can do a run by to this. Or either way, you can't really go wrong with skirmishers on this map. Augurs in general, Saurians in general are quite strong on this map due to the type of terrains. So you can't really keep up with only drakes. So definitely 2 skirmishers, not a waste. So I thought to myself, this can basically make me make my unit combination decent versus any faction. I can transition into anything. They can kill adepts versus dead versus loyalists. They are quite good, of course. Versus orc, that would have been a bit more problematic. However, I could have put them, for example, on this village here, or on this village here, and they could have had their uses in terms of defending versus grunts, or perhaps trying to finish off an archer, or trying to cut off the retreat. It's difficult to defend versus orcs anyway. So trying to cut off the retreat of some grunts, that would have been, again, good use for them. Or perhaps do a run by. Anyway, Orc probably would have been my demise here on this map. Although if you think about it, it's a great distance to rush. You can't really rush on all sides. You have to pick one side, and that makes things a bit more problematic, simply because if you do rush on this side, then it is a narrow area you're rushing into here, a narrow area you're rushing into here. There's again a narrow area here. So either way, no matter how you rush with Orc, even if you have the numbers advantage, it is still difficult to execute the rush. Then what I did was take my leader forward. Why? Because usually these villages are a bit overlooked. I wanted to have I don't know, a clasher or a unit here to take this village and then put pressure. Yeah, if possible, to put pressure. Usually Drake is the one that is least capable to put pressure early on, but either way, a clasher to defend or put pressure. So this is how I like to recruit. I like to go top here, put another unit, and then come towards the middle and bottom. Yes, let's see here on this full map. Let's see here on Daniel BR's side. He is a loyalist. So this is going to make for an interesting game and interesting recruits here with two mermans. I guess he plans on being aggressive in the middle. He wants map control in the middle. The problem with having map control in the middle means that on the sides he will have less map control. He's recruiting the horseman here. Again, extremely aggressive. I mean, I don't blame him. It's good to have a horseman simply for intimidation purposes. So I would need to be much more careful how I place these units, especially these gliders. So this horseman, excellent versus the gliders. Absolutely excellent. Plus with these mermen, I can't really place my gliders freely. So to be honest, he recruited quite well versus what I was recruiting. Then another clasher. Again, I needed to have some tanks. In case of an orc attack, I need to have a tank here and a tank here to kind of play around the tank rather than having very squishy unit. Only very squishy units. Okay, once I saw Loyalist, I was quite happy with my recruits because both Clashers and Saurians are quite decent versus Loyalists. All I need now is to start recruiting those Saurian Augurs, which can heal, deal a lot of magic damage, and they have good mobility. As I said before, this type of terrain, they actually shine. Now, you see here, because he went with two mermen, he is a bit slow in grabbing this village top here. He would have to use his cavalryman once, yeah. Whereas I can use my clasher here, and then I can already put pressure with the glider, and I can already put pressure with the skirmisher. Also, I'm player 1, so it's understandable that I can put pressure. So there's nothing to say here. It's just how it goes. He couldn't have, done anything better. I feel it's just he's a bit light here north. He's a bit light on units. On the other side, I do have 2 units here to grab, and I will have to use these 2 units, the glider and the clasher. Or I could use the skirmisher here. I could use the clasher here, and then I could use the glider to again put some pressure or scout, whatever I choose to do. So I do have a bit more freedom because I recruited 2 clashers and my village grabbing pattern is a bit faster. But the gliders themselves are not great fighting units. So what did I do next? I again tried to scout, and perhaps this was a mistake from my side. Okay, so I saw the merman. I knew that the merman would have to be somewhere here lurking, waiting to get the village. So I knew that I can't do the move with the skirmisher. I needed to keep my skirmisher here to protect myself from the merman fighter. This is the same reason why I didn't push the skirmisher forward, because again, I didn't want this merman fighter, which I knew it was somewhere there lurking. I didn't want him to grab the village, grab a free village. Imagine, I would have had to go here, recruit, then 1, 2, 3. There's no way I would have reached. That would have taken ages. So this is an important factor here. Early aggression is really, really strong and can really cripple you on this map. So if you think about it here, the pattern of my movement with the leader is so stretched out. One single moment of delay, and everything will just basically, it will have a domino effect on my defense and on my development, right? So imagine this merman fighter getting this village and staying here for 2 turns. There was no way I would have killed him in the first turn. Then I would have had to basically get my units here to try to chase this merman fighter away. Sure, I would have probably gotten the kill, probably not. I mean, it depends on where the skirmisher was. I mean, this one could have come back, but then who would have? Because this could have run this way and gotten this village, and I would have had to basically, once this village was taken, I would have had to pull every single one of my units back. So what's the point of pushing my units forward if I have to pull every single one of my units back to try to capture this merman fighter, right? It's just, don't push the units. Don't push the units back. Keep them, keep them in standby, and then take it from there. Anyway, this is a bit contradictory to what I did with this glider here. I pushed this glider here a bit forward too much. The reason why I did that is because I saw his leader, and in my mind, there was no way that he will use the leader to attack me. I basically deleted that possibility from my brain. I thought, okay, the leader is here. This map is already stretched out. The way I'm stretched thin, right? He's also stretched thin. He also is really having to compute every single move in terms of recruiting. So I thought he absolutely needs to go back here and recruit something, anything. And then he will only have 1, 2, 3, 4 movement points left. So I'm fine. There was no way I would have considered that he would have attacked my glider. Plus, imagine he would have had to attack with a glider and he would have had to attack with a cavalryman. This meant that this village wouldn't have been captured, and this would have hurt him economically. Not only that, but his leader would have been all the way back here, and then the only place where he could have recruited is on this keep. And this would have given me enough momentum to basically push through the middle, make a really strong push, which normally wouldn't be possible, because if he recruits one single spearman here, that's it. I have no other choice. But simply because he had mermen instead of spearmen, which have less HP, right? And I do have a fire drake. Because his leader was far away, had he gone for the glider, I would have had a middle push. So I was very sure that, knowing how this map works, he would not, I was also quite usually quite aggressive, but I was quite careful about my village grabbing pattern. I grabbed my villages. I had the units here to prevent counter pillaging, and my units were not as far out in the open scouting because they were busy with getting villages or defending villages. So I thought, okay, I have one spare unit. I can at least be annoying with the spare unit, because he has to do the same. He has to be very structured and organized when grabbing his villages, especially since he has 2 mermen, which, they can't really go top, they can't really go bottom, they are kind of stuck in the middle. However, to my surprise, look what he did. Okay, I'm just gonna play side 10, and then there it is. He went forward with the leader, and not only he went forward with the leader, he got 3 out of 3. So it's 40%. 2 out of 3, I would say it's a decent assumption in terms of probability. That this is what I would have expected to happen. But he got 3 out of 3. That meant that he also had the cav free to grab the village. So he did not recruit. He also got the kill with the leader. He also got the village. It was very good for him. And actually the opponents, the observers asked me, "What are you doing, Neki?" Wondered about the glider, and I wondered about Daniel BR attacking the glider. Sure, he was a bit lucky and got the kill with the leader, and then he was able to get the village, which I did not expect him getting the village if he went for the glider. But now his leader is far back. I have the momentum bottom. That glider wouldn't have been able to fight anyway. The glider did more or less its job of grabbing the village. It's not such an important unit. So I thought to myself, now is the time to attack. Of course, losing a unit, it hurts, but again, I lost some. It's similar to chess, right? Sometimes you sacrifice some materials, some pieces, in order to gain a positional advantage, to gain the momentum, right? So here, I did not expect for him to take this sacrifice. 2 units fighting the glider, not taking a village, it would have been just too much. But he took the sacrifice. It meant that now I had some momentum here in the middle, specifically. So let's see here what he did. However, he already had 3 units bottom, and he was kind of attacking in full force bottom, right? So say his demise. Why though? Again, I've just explained to you, ladies and gentlemen, I never expected him to take that, simply because he puts his leader in a quite a defensive position, and he leaves the center open. However, as you can see here, he does have this horseman, and he does have, I mean, this horseman is a bit annoying on this side, and I had to push my clasher quite far forward to see this, which probably was not the wisest of ideas. And now suddenly I realized, oh, okay, he's going to have a lot of army coming my way. Might as well defend it. And again, that particular position I told you about, I'm not that scared about this village anymore. Again, pushing center, because I know there's absolutely nothing center, especially after seeing these 3 units. I know there's 2 mermen, which I saw in the beginning, I believe. Or if I didn't see them in the beginning, I think I saw... Okay, I think I will see it soon with the glider. So 2 mermen, or 1 merman, whatever. I just know there are mermen here. And 2 units here, not having a lot of backup. And 3 units here, an expensive unit horseman. So there can't be much middle. I'm pushing quite confident forward, and suddenly I'm putting these 2 mermen on the back foot, right? Because I can get this village. Also, I can get this village. So it's quite a difficult position for him. And let me see what else I did here. I started recruiting Saurians. So no, I think I said to myself, I'm going versus loyalist. I was lucky enough to recruit 2 skirmishers. Might as well recruit the auger. And okay. So now, if you look here, the glider is in an interesting position. Glider puts more pressure center, because I know there's nothing coming center. Again, glider is also threatening this village, because these units, it's very difficult for them to come back and get this village, right? So sure, they can go here, and that's the perk of having a quick horseman. But at the same time, I can get this village back. I can get this village, I can get this village. I'm threatening a lot of villages, and he does not have the units to cover them, because he used his leader to attack instead of recruiting. Imagine him having to also get this village here. If this village was not already taken, then he would have had to do like 4 things at once. Defend this village, take this village with a unit instead of using that unit to do something else more useful, go back and recruit with the leader, and then get this village with the leader. Okay, maybe this is not that bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just a natural position for the leader. But again, he would have had to do a lot of things, whereas my leader is on the central keep, recruiting, able to move forward, threatening his keep. Look, I can put this here. I can put the glider on this keep. I guess I could, or perhaps here to lock the keep, and I can put the skirmisher here. I could put this skirmisher here. I mean, I can do so many things. I could block the central keep and just waltz in with a bunch of Saurians. Or at least I'm threatening that, right? So it's all potential here, but it's some of the things that I can do. So he noticed that. He noticed that I have a very strong position center, and the merman fighters were not enough to stop it, because I did have some skirmishers here, which ignore the zone of control, right? So he said, I have to make something happen to divert the attention from the center. And he had this possibility here, and he went for it. So he basically said, I'm not going to pull back and defend. I don't want to lose more momentum, which is fair. I mean, I perfectly understand how he thinks. I would have thought the same. right? So I did not want to lose more momentum here. I basically increased the pressure center. He does not want to lose any more momentum to defend center. He increases the pressure south, especially since I only have 2 units here. So he did just that. He got the village south, pushed these 2 units forward. Again, attacked, rather than defending and going on the village, he attacked the glider, which is very good play. I really like the way Daniel PR plays, really aggressive, which made for a very interesting game. So he attacked the glider. Now the glider can't really go on this central village, and here I believe he has no choice but to retreat. Yes, just too much pressure from too many sides, and he is going to grab. Oh, okay, that was 5 movement already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess 5. He needed to go 5 here, so yes. Imagine this had to take this village. Yeah, and never mind. What's done is done. No point in crying over spilled milk now. And he has enough gold to recruit 2 units, unfortunately for me. And he recruits a mage. This is a bit peculiar because night is coming, so the mage won't do much. However, I do have a lot of Saurians. I do have actually 2 skirmishers. And if I do, he thinks I'm desperate. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units here. I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, perhaps, well, 5-ish. So he thinks I'm desperate. He thinks I'll push really, really boldly to try to desperately get some villages, to try to get some reward for, the fact that I lost my glider there. And if I do push that hard, then probably my skirmishers will get wounded, and the mage is perfect for finishing off wounded skirmishers. Makes a lot of sense. So I don't particularly disagree with it, but I'm also thinking that perhaps a fencer would have been a bit better. But mage can equally work. So anyway, now what I did, obviously I had to keep up the pressure, especially north, because this is where this is where it all started. This is where I wanted to keep his focus, to keep him away from center and from south. Mostly from center. South is becoming problematic for me. But at the same time, I had to deal with this horseman. So you see, I lost a unit. So I had lost a unit, and I had lost a village. So things were looking pretty dire for me. However, I wasn't going to let this expensive horseman go back home. My glider could go back here and trap this horseman. So this is exactly what I did. So I I placed this clasher really aggressively so that the leader and the cavalrymen are the only units to get it, to be able to hit it, so the clasher can again threaten these villages. Then I saw the mage, and I went back and I said, oops, I can't really go here and grab the castle, because then the mage will simply have a lot of fun with that. So again, this was a great deterrent. So probably this is why Daniel BR recruited it, and that's why he recruited it quite far away to hide it. So for those of you out there who want to set traps, this is a textbook trap, very well played from his side. And then I realized, okay, the plan of attacking towards the center is going to be doomed. So time to switch things around. And I now have an expensive target, 23 gold, and I will just take this and I'll try to basically pay off my glider by killing a 23 gold target. And there is my recruit, there is my attack here. Now the horseman can't run back, but I do have the glider here. So horseman hit a lot of times, but I also hit a lot of times, so that is fine. Now, I could have played a bit differently here. I could have placed the glider on this side, and then the glider wouldn't have been able to be hit by more than one spearman, right? But I wanted to put more damage into this horseman. I knew that, the glider is already low, and I knew that the glider is going to be attacked anyway. no matter how, no matter by whom, glider will be attacked. So I thought to myself, okay, just put more damage into the horseman. It will help finish off the horseman. In hindsight, putting the glider here would have probably been a much better choice because, well, yes and no, because then probably the attention would have shifted towards the clasher, right? Well, it's debatable. Definitely putting a unit versus a village, in general, bad idea. However, if this horseman stays here, then he's going to be dead, so doesn't really matter. These two spearmen will definitely go for the glider in order to free up the horseman. But if these two go for the glider, then I have other targets, right? Anyway, I moved all my units here because this was going to be a fight, and it's a fight during the night, right? So things should go my way. And as you can see, I'm running low on units to basically cover my villages. I do have here 1-2 units which are quite aggressively placed, and they keep these units pinned down more or less. Perhaps also this unit, so they do pin down. If I had another glider here alive, you can imagine how much higher the pressure would have been. I'm already doing a good job with these two. Imagine with an extra glider. So I'm really starved for units, but I'm not giving up. I'm starting a fight here with an expensive unit, so it's not looking lost yet. Okay, he is moving here in order to put pressure on both these villages because he's going to cover this, he's going to cover this. So suddenly I'm becoming the one that needs to cover rather than the one attacking. So really nice play here. And why not attacking, I think? Or not yet, perhaps not. Anyway, just waltzing in, showing off that he is not scared of me, and I should be the one who should tremble before him. And yeah, I was quite scared at this point. He recovered quite well on this side. The fight on the southern part was the only thing that I had going my way. And there it is, going for the glider. Luckily for me, this 40% worked a bit better than the 40% here. So 2 misses on that spearman. However, the next spearman, I believe, got the kill. So that's why perhaps it would have been better to put a glider here. And now him having 2 kills, it would have been very easy to just pull back the horseman and live to fight another day, put pressure here, wait for night. However, he wanted to end it right there, right then, and he got another village. Okay. I believe this was a bit too much. So I was not, I mean, I was already low on income. Taking another village was really not necessary. Sure, yeah, I was two units behind, but remember, one of them was a scout, which was supposed to be top anyway. I mean, if you look top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus 2. So if you think about it, 5 versus 2, I do have the majority of my units here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus 1, 2, 3, 4. I still have the upper hand, at least theoretically here. So it was really not the case for him to grab villages. I believe this was a small mistake. He could have just gone back and played his advantage here. Instead, he gave me a fighting chance. I was never going to grab villages, and I was just going to go for the kills. That was my only chance. So again, going for the clasher, 3 out of 3 yet again. I was going to go back with the clasher anyway, so that this little skirmish here doesn't matter that much. Now, I really needed the hits here. It was second watch, so I really need to do my damage at this point. I went for the 32 hit point spearman for obvious reasons. So I got 3 out of 3. Another auger slot here. Use the auger there to soften him up. Well, never mind. I went for the horseman first for obvious reasons. I wanted to see how much I hit there. 3 out of 5, not too bad, 15 hit points. But at the same time, let's say I went for the horseman, and I would have needed 3 out of 3. Had I missed on the horseman, then it would have been game over, because I wouldn't have had the possibility to hit with a third unit, right? Whereas if I missed the spearman once, I would have had this clasher to go around and finish off the spearman. So this is what I did. I went for the spearman. Luckily for me, I got 3 out of 3. So that is a luck bonus that I will happily take. I really needed that. So because look, I got plus 20% damage in this game. I really needed a boost in terms of luck. And now suddenly I was able to use the clasher on the horseman. And now I regretted the fact that the skirmisher wasn't able to reach the horseman. That would have been really, really good. But yeah, no point in crying over spilled milk, as I always say. So again, got the horseman down to 5 hit points, which is okay. However, the horseman can still get away, but there's a small catch here. I can close the escape with this skirmisher, because the horseman will be then forced to go, well, he wouldn't have any way actually to get out of here with the skirmisher closing down the gate. So suddenly it's 2-1, which looks much better, at least for my morale. Plus there is a dying horseman here, and he can't really attack the clasher, because the clasher has first strike. He can't really attack the leader, because the leader doesn't really care about the damage, and the leader will probably kill him in one retaliation shot. So he can't really do anything. Plus the spearman here is quite lonely by itself, and he can't do much. So again, retreating, getting the 60%. Sure, he's going to get 1 village, but he's only going to get 1, right? He only has access to this. And he has tons of gold. He can recruit more. That is correct, but I have to make the best of what I have. I shouldn't be looking back and saying what could have been. I need to make the best of what I currently work with. And it's not much, not many units I am currently leading at the moment. And you see, very, very aggressive, very mean, very effective, going for the villages. However, if I put my clash on this village, again, there is only 1 free village. So I've lost so many villages that with his troops, he can't, at least immediately, of course, he will kill this, he will get the village, he will kill this, eventually he will get the village, but at least immediately he can't get more than 2 villages out of this small incursion. So he is recruiting more spearmen, which is the correct thing to do, right? He does want to overwhelm me, he does want to swarm me. These spearmen are quite beefy. However, I would have felt that at one point, I don't think he could afford it, but Cav would have been very good versus because my only chance was to recruit skirmishers. There was no way I would afford drakes, so Cavs are quite good versus Saurians. There is yet another village that I lost here with the merman fighter. So, but this means the merman fighter can't really fight. And there it is, the clasher gets the kill there. 7 hit points left, but suddenly 2-2, and I was about to get 2 of my villages back. In terms of gold, in terms of resources, pretty even. However, I had some experience here into this auger, and I had the potential to make it a level 2. I believe that this was, again, I mean, he did not actually achieve anything here where he moved the spearmen onto the village. The village was already his. He could have, for example, ran in this direction here. Then he would have spread my forces thin. There was no way I could have dealt with this spearman and then come back to deal with these units. So I feel that in this point, to be absolutely certain of victory, he could have just run away with the spearman towards south. He could have also run away with the spearman towards his home, but then my units would have killed the spearman and then gotten some villages in return. I'm sure this is not what he wanted. So I'm thinking that his thought process was, I really want to keep these Saurians here, so that he's far away from these villages. He's also far away from these this army of mine, which is again grabbing his villages, which is a fair point. But I feel that, you know, running a bit towards this direction, stretching me even thinner, that would have been even a better move. Or perhaps he thought if I did run away in this direction, then neki would have just taken the village and ignored me, which is fair point. I could have done that. However, now he's giving me another kill, yet another kill, and he's giving me the possibility of getting a level 2 and kind of keeping my units in this area of the map, more or less. So definitely I tried to manage the experience in such a way that I got the kill. You see, it's still not enough because this is dealing 5-3. I need 3 out of 3 here, so I'm forced to use the skirmisher, unfortunately. Okay, at least I got some hits with the skirmisher. I actually got 2 hits, which means that this is a certain deal, more or less, with normal luck. 1 out of 3, the last hit. And you see, I'm not building a healer. Why? Because I have a lot of augers anyway, and while I'm walking around the map, healing 4 repeatedly is equally effective. I mean, arguably is equally effective as healing 8. Well, you get what I mean. So if you just keep your units in a clump together and you move them as one, constantly healing 4, over time you will heal the full amount, especially since these Saurians, they don't have a high health pool anyway. Okay, so now I have a level 2. Plus, I can't get the village yet, which is a bit annoying. However, I somehow have enough money to recruit another unit, which is going to be another auger, right? That's the only thing I can recruit. 5 out of 16. 1, 2, 3. The 4th auger. It's the only thing I can do, to be honest. I need magic to regain my villages, even if this kind of magic is not that effective versus merman fighters. They are quite good at they are quite resilient versus cold. I'm curious whether I move the leader. I move the leader. Why? Because I knew I couldn't be attacked by this cavalryman. I also knew his leader, because his leader chose again to attack my clasher in order to go middle, right? He was recruiting from this area here, way behind. I knew the leader was not middle, therefore there was no way he could have recruited a horseman to put pressure on me. So I moved my leader safely on his keep, and I just put some damage into this merman. Well, not that much damage, but still some damage. This is all because he attacked my clasher. And I took this village. Why? Because I wanted to be away from the mage. I mean, sure, this is only 50% defense, but it's better to have slightly less defense rather than dealing with a mage, honestly. So I'm still losing only, I mean, I'm saying only, but it's already 1, 2, 3, 4 villages. I will reclaim this momentarily. And as you can see, this is empty. It's up for grabs, but it's just I don't have the time. I just have too many units to kill in order to stay in the game, that I don't have the time to go there. And I think that once he lost his spearman, he thought, oh, neki is going to send 1 unit here, and I need to move my leader here to recruit something to regain these villages, because this is the only way he can come back into this game. I can at least grab 1 village, you know, not give him 3 villages at once. So I think this is what he thought. The fact that Daniel BR thought that is good enough in itself. I don't actually need to send out a unit to grab these villages. As long as he thinks that I'm going to send a unit to send out these villages, he's going to put his leader here instead of putting him center and sending more reinforcements. He's going to put his leader south, and he's going to waste time trying to protect these villages while I'm using my unit to reclaim my traditional villages, right? So I have to use all these mind games. I have to use absolutely everything at my disposal if I'm going to crawl my way back into this game. I killed 1 more unit, and I did get a level 2, which is encouraging, and this is more or less a done deal that I'm going to reclaim my village here. This is a bit more problematic, but it will happen eventually. At least this was my thought process. With all these Saurians here quite mobile, and with magic damage, I can reclaim here no matter what happens, simply because his leader is way back. And then if you think about it, if you think about the timing, when night comes, I will be able to reclaim these as well. So it doesn't look that bad. Of course, by the time I get there and I reclaim the villages, it might very well be that the Daniel B. army is just so numerous that I have no fighting chance. Anyway, so he decides to move the merman back, finally his leader forward, and he recruits a cav. I would have recruited a horseman if I were him at this stage, horseman. But I guess he wanted stability. He thought that the game is still in the bag, and as long as the game is still in the bag, recruiting stable units is way better than recruiting a horseman that can again backfire. So, grab the village with the clasher. The clasher is too low to do anything. He probably thought here that well, never mind what he thought and what he didn't think. We shall see based on his moves whether he did go here and recruit or not. What I needed is basically get my units here to reclaim this village and this village. So this is exactly what I did. Pushed everything forward. And I grabbed this. There was no way I did not grab. I mean, I must take some risks. I'm way behind. I must take some risks. Probably this is why he also did not recruit a horseman. Because a horseman is not very good versus Pierce, and this is 60%. So if the horseman missed versus 60% with 2 attacks and then retaliation, again, it's kind of risky. Whereas with 3 attacks, a blade has a bonus damage versus augers, so that would have been a bit better. Yeah, and I'm bringing this forward, the skirmisher. Why? Because again, I want to stay away from this mage. This clasher does not really care about the mage. This skirmisher does care a lot, and as you can see, I'm increasing the pressure on this village and on this village by bringing all my units in this area. And all his units are top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units fighting nothing. Sure, they are going to claim 2 villages for his army, but it's just 2 villages with 5 units. Whereas if I get some more kills, I can, in the short term, again, in the long term, him having these villages pays off tremendously. But me getting some kills here, if I manage to get them, then I can kind of balance the extra gold he gets from the villages. But we shall see what happened in the game. Again, went for the horse. Also, I wanted to move away from a potential horseman here. I did not want to deal with that, so I moved my leader away. Plus, always use the leader to deal damage when you have the chance to. So, okay, 4 out of 5 versus 40%. Arguably, you could say that was a bit lucky. Let me see here. +9, +8 this turn, +44%. So yet another kill, 4-2. So suddenly, I mean, if you think about it, I could have waited a bit. I could have gone with my leader first, and then I could have used the skirmisher to finish off the horseman. That would have been a more sensible approach. The way I did it, it kind of worked, but this is basically a small revenge for him killing my glider with the leader and the leader only. So, yeah, it's already looking good, 4-2. And I only am 2 villages behind at this point, which is absolutely, I would say, doable. I can definitely reclaim 2 villages, not a problem, especially with this army that has a level 2. So, again, he is getting these villages. He does want me to fight for every single village, and he's going to attack, which is fine. However, this can happen. So I did get a lot of damage in, but I also managed to get a lot of retaliation into the spearman. Luckily for me, he only gets 1 hit there versus 60%. Oh, the merman gets a lot of hits. Now this is 1 hit away from dying, if I'm not mistaken. And will it happen? Will it happen? Will it happen? And I survived. I forgot that I survived with this auger, and this is basically the nail in the coffin for Daniel BR. He basically threw all these units at me, including the Merman Fighter on 40%. Sure, this survived unfairly. I would say that should have died, and he did take more damage than he dealt. But yeah, I mean, this can happen. It was not my fault. I mean, I had to take the risk. There was no other way I could play this. I was way too far behind to not take risks. But even if this would have died, I would have still had access to all these units, which would have been great. Anyway, there's a small bonus here. This one surviving. So now I had to clear these mermen. This one is on 40%. Definitely the leader on it. This one is pretty low already. So I can perhaps work a bit with some cold magic, even if it's resilient to cold. So went with the leader first. Again, a lot of units here, but only getting to, I'm saying only 2 villages. 2 villages is absolutely fantastic. But for my immediate goal of surviving, it's only 2 villages, right? So as you can see, Daniel BR was not impressed with the possibility that my unit went all the way here, because he knew my clasher had gotten this village. Again, very calculated player. He knew exactly how many units I had there. He knew that the clasher must be here. However, from now on, he must be thinking, did the clasher go to grab these villages? Did the clasher stay? What happened? Right, so he must be thinking that in the back of his head. So as you can see, he's slowly getting his leader towards here. Okay, going for the clasher. I don't agree with this. I'm guessing he wants to maximize the damage, but this is just moving the mage next to the clasher. I guess he wants to stretch me thin. Again, he wants to block the clasher from helping out with this spearman, which makes sense, but this is also providing me with a mage offering. So first things first, I basically attack the mage, see what I was going to do. But now if I kill the mage with the skirmisher, suddenly the skirmisher does not care about these units anymore, at least not that much. So this is exactly what I did. Went for the mage, one more kill. Again, as long as I can get kills, I don't really care about villages that much, as long as I can, again, for the short term. Now, hero a bit behind and also attacking the 40% merman makes the most sense. Okay, 3 hits, that's pretty solid. And now I can use these units to finish off these 2 mermen. I'm not going with the clasher. I'm not going with the clasher towards his villages, simply because I want to use the clasher in the fight. Plus, I want to use the threat, the possibility of taking his villages. I want to play some mind games and make him recruit at least 1 unit here to reduce a bit the pressure in the center. So again, this one deals 5 because it's a level 2. So that was really important here. 6 left, which is 2 out of 3 there, to be expected. And now suddenly this village is up for grabs with another unit. Ugh, too bad it missed there. 3 out of 3, 3 out of 6. I guess it balances out everything. These units, they are not quick, as you can see. This one is, I'm not sure what it is, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not quick. It can't really reach. So 7 units to 2 and another unit to another level 2 in the making. Plus now I needed to cover my leader, right? I didn't want the spearman to have another try at my leader, so I used the skirmisher to cover my leader. This was planned from the beginning now, and that's simply perfect. I mean, this can go back, sure, yes, but these units will heal each other, and these will grab this village and then go for these villages, and then the game will should stabilize. So this was my idea, especially since the statistics were heavily in my favor. So this is when I regain hope, and you see he is going here because he doesn't know where my clasher is. So this is also reducing the pressure in the center. Not that it matters. I just feel that I dealt enough damage to come back into the game. But now I think he has a feeling that the game is slipping away, and it's difficult when you've had the game in the bag and you've taken some risks and they backfired. It's just such a frustrating feeling. Look, it's nobody's fault. We are all human. We all feel this way. So he basically thought, instead of stabilizing the game and basically resetting and trying to form an army to deal with these. I mean, remember, he has just lost the mage here, which I did not understand too well why he played this way. Probably he wanted to preserve the spearmen. So to rebuild an army to deal with these Saurians, he decided to take more risks. So look what he did. So probably here, when he saw with the cavalryman that there was nothing coming, he thought, oh, just a waste. Probably he thought, okay, it's somewhere in the, although it's a quick cavalryman, if you think about it, where could my clasher be, right? For the cavalryman not to see him. Anyway, so he took more risks. As you can see, he basically pushed his cavalryman forward, and he wanted 2 hits versus 60%. That did not happen, and that's when his morale went down significantly. Guess I lost it. I didn't know what to say here because I didn't know how much units he had at home, how much was coming at me. I was basically working with what I was seeing. Couldn't really afford to buy a scout to see how the real situation is. So yeah, went for the cav and yet another level 2 unit, I guess, and this was basically it. Yeah, just too many units dying, 9-2, and there was no way. I mean, he could have come back from this, but it would have been really difficult with 2 level 2s of mine waltzing around here through this terrain. Absolutely fantastic for Saurians. So GG, well played. Really, really interesting game, where I basically I stayed in this game by the skin of my teeth, and I finally made it. Another aggressive display from Daniel BR. Really well played. It was, I guess, my mistake being a bit too aggressive here with the glider, but again, in my mind, there was no way he would have gone for the glider. Assumption wrong, and this is how this whole volatile match started, which I hope you, ladies and gentlemen, enjoyed. Please leave comments below, and don't forget to subscribe if you do like these videos. It helps me a lot if you subscribe. It helps me feel that my work is needed, and it helps me allocate more time to this in the future. So I shall see you, ladies and gentlemen, next time.